How's it going, everyone? Dr. Todd from MoveNow, and I'm here with a friend of mine and someone who's helped us out tremendously in practice, Dr. Miles Bodzin from Cash Practice.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, Dr. Miles? Here, I'll put it in that.
Doing great. Awesome.
And while we have some people jumping on, I'm just going to share this real quick and put this around. So main thing that we're talking about, and I'll get focused here in a second, is
I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that and talk at the same time. I know usually when I'm doing these things, I have someone behind the scenes kind of help me out.
Well, I wouldn't give me too much credit yet because I'm not doing it well. But it's that first and foremost, nothing that we talk about or nothing that we promote is for the sake of just promoting. So right now I'm talking about Cash Practice because we've used it in practice for the last, I don't know how many years now.
I've been 7-8 years now, I'm going to guess.
Yep. And so I've become very familiar with it. I've gotten to know Dr. Miles and Holly very, very well. They've helped us out tremendously. They have excellent support. And my team knows your team. We use 4 main pieces of Cash Practice, and I'm sure we could be using more, but there's 4 main pieces that we are using. And
yeah, you're using the majority of it. I mean, there's a couple little things here and there that are outside the 4 main tools, but yeah, you're using it as it's designed to use, and it's one of the reasons I think you have. I don't take credit for your success, but it helps you in your success in your practice. That's for sure.
For sure. And prior to that, I think back to the systems that we used before. These are just cleaner. They're better. I like them, and I wanted to highlight them and talk about them. There's 4 main things that we use. Here, hold on 1 second. See, like you're giving me credit for being good at doing this. I haven't even done it yet. I'm almost to the point where I'm sharing this, and then we'll get rolling. But this will give people some time to jump on.
It's like a newscaster on TV trying to be their own producer. It
is. I know.
I usually I've tried it myself, and I always screw it up.
I got you. You're in Functional Movement for Chiropractors live, and then let me put you in our other group, and then we will be good. All right, and you are in MoveNow Chiropractors live with Dr. Miles. There we go. You're tagged in a couple places.
Awesome, great.
Okay, cool.
We'll spread it around too, as well after we're done.
Cool. So, all right, main things that we use with Cash Practice. We'll just start with in our process from day 1 through day 5. I'll do this very, very brief, and we're going to focus on the wellness score, and then I'd like to get your take on what you see with all these doctors that you work with on the problem that the wellness score solves. So one is we use Cash Practice for our payment processing. So payment processing, whether someone makes a single payment or they're doing monthly auto debit, and it's all managed very well. We get a dashboard. We can see if a card's about to expire and we need to take an action step. Love that. Gives us reports. I really like that feature. That's great. Second thing, we use it for the care plan calculator. We used to have a pretty elaborate Excel spreadsheet, and it got the job done. It wasn't nearly as easy to understand from a patient standpoint, right? And so
I remember when you showed that to us.
Yeah, yep. And it took a lot of time to engineer it. In hindsight, I just wish we didn't waste the time doing that, and we would have just used your care plan calculator to begin with. But that's what we've used for the last several years, and it works great. And we also use the wellness score, which that's the thing that I want to highlight because we put a lot of time and energy into refining it with your guys' help on us being able to customize it for our MoveNow University members and the way that we practice uniquely with measuring things. And then we also use the Drip Ed system as well, which is cool because you can assign campaigns, right? They're called campaigns. Yeah. Okay. You can assign campaigns to patients, and then you can click on a patient. You can see all the different campaigns they're assigned to. You can even track what things that they're opening, how engaged they are. And we're using that with our 12-week transformation, which is our online membership site that we give our patients access to. That's our latest thing that you guys helped us sync up so that we can use with Cash Practice, and all of our members who already have Cash Practice or who are on the fence and getting it, get it. And it cuts out the need to build this out in a time-intensive process inside of like MailChimp or something like that. Right. Okay. Now,
here's your summary.
Yeah, there's the summary, and then I'm going to pull up my screen. I'll let you talk and throw some.
You know, before we get right into the wellness score, which we'll do, let me just kind of summarize, if I can, just for a moment for the audience, And if anybody has questions, I assume people can make comments. I don't know if you're monitoring any of that stuff or not, but I'll just mention real quick that when we mention these 4 systems that you just brought up that you're using, ultimately the aim here is to help doctors build their patient retention. That's ultimately the aim here, that we've identified there's these 4 areas. And I'll just share a quick story real quick. I'm sure everybody can remember the moment where they were in life and where they were in time when certain events happened in their life. Like I remember very clearly I don't remember what year it was now, but I remember sitting at the beach in my car waiting to go surfing, and on the news, on the radio, I come across the radio, O.J. Simpson found not guilty. And I know we all remember where we were when we heard the news the first time, or some other event in our life. And similar to that, I had another experience that is very clearly etched in my mind. And it was a Monday morning. I was driving into my office, and I remember sitting down. You mentioned Holly at the front desk, me walking in and telling her, hey, for the next couple of months, no new patients. And the reason it's etched on my mind so clearly, just like you're raising your eyebrows right now, is the look on her face and the expression she gave me was, what do you mean no new patients? And, you know, going back at that period of time, I was just kind of tired. I was working really, really hard. And we all know how hard it is to take care of new people, processing exams, x-rays, report of findings, all that stuff. And I just needed to take a little breather, a little break. And I know you guys could probably relate to that. And so I said, no new patients. And we went through that process. And the only reason we were able to say no new patients and actually do it, and not just say it, but literally not take new patients for a few months, was because I didn't need new patients. I didn't need any new people coming in financially. The business would run fine. The practice just ran fine without it. And that's because we had so many people on care, on recurring payments, on care plans. We had such a full practice. We didn't need new people showing up. So hence, the systems you just mentioned, those 4 systems, they're designed specifically to help doctors do that, to help them have a practice where the patients not only start care, but stay under care, and they're with you for a long time. And we've identified these 4 things. They need care plans. They need to be on recurring payments. They need to have a wellness score where they're getting feedback on how they're progressing, and they need regular contact, and that's where the email system is. So we didn't just make up these 4 systems for the fun of it. There's a very specific purpose to them. And in fact, we've identified there's actually 11 steps. We call it the patient journey. And you'll see this document here I have here called the patient journey. And there's a little map here. Okay, we've mapped it out. There's literally 11 steps. The reason I'm not showing it to you closely because we haven't released it to you guys yet. But there's 11 clear steps we've identified in what we call a perfect patient journey, where it's a perfect process of them starting to them transitioning through your program care and going on to wellness. And the tools we just mentioned, that Todd just mentioned, are all used at various points throughout that journey. And we all have patient journeys. We all experience them with our patients. Some of them suck, some of them are good, and some are perfect. And we've identified these are the key components of creating as close as a perfect patient journey as possible. Today, Todd invited me to be here because we want to focus specifically on feedback, which is the wellness score. One of the key components of patients following through with care is giving them feedback so they know they're making progress. The failure to give people feedback is one of the reasons they leave us. That if you don't give people an indication that they're making progress, especially once they're feeling better, and we all suffer with this, where a patient feels better and then they don't understand why they're continuing to come in. And that's the purpose of the wellness score, is to give them a tool. And we like to rate how well you're doing feedback on a scale of 0 to 10. A 0 would be you're giving no feedback to patients. A 5 might be is I'm telling people their feedback, or maybe a 4 is I'm communicating it to them. A 6 or a 7 is I'm giving them feedback in some kind of report, but I have to explain what the report means, and it takes some effort. A 10 would be you give them a report and you don't have to explain anything. They just know it. They get it just by seeing it. And that's what we've done with the wellness score. We've produced a report card that everybody understands what a report card is. Everybody knows what an A, a B, a C, a D. You don't have to teach a patient what that means. They know that inherently because they grew up going to school that way. So that's what the wellness score is. And we're going to go through that right now. This is a tool that we've specifically customized for MoveNow, with a specific set of parameters, and so much help is being given to us by Todd, by a whole series of videos he created to make it really easy for the MoveNow doctors to learn what parameters to use, how they're measured, where they fit in building the wellness score specifically for that type of practice, for that practice model. But the important thing here is that you're giving the patients feedback, because that's one of the 4 major components for patients to stay under care. I just want to kind of paint that umbrella right there of like, this is why we do it. It's not just for the fun of it. There's a clear, concise message. So what I'd like to do now is, Todd, you wanted to share your screen, I believe, and talk
Sure.
about specifically the wellness score we created. Todd, why don't you share with what you're about to show them, what we have here.
Cool. Yep. Let's do that. All right. Let me see if I can get this big enough so that we can see it. I know it's going to be a little small on your screen, especially those watching this on a phone. But this is inside of our portal, inside of MoveNow University. So this is a portal that covers a bunch of stuff with clinical practice, procedure systems, clinical aspect of how to do movement assessment, prescribe exercises. But down in clinical implementation, so for all of our members out there, section 5, if you go into track 39, the recommendation card and the wellness score, we scroll past
the screen image bigger and you smaller.
You know, I wish I could. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can flip this around.
Right
You'd
now,
think,
and you're the biggest one.
I know. You'd think you can do that easily. Here, hold on one second. Let me try hiding you. Sometimes if you do this in a certain sequence, okay.
You know, what I would say to the audience.
There we go. How's that? That's better.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
There you go. Okay.
Obviously, they can reach out and get further information for you.
Yep, and that's not too bad. And I can make this a little bigger too. Over here. Okay, there we go. See, a little better.
There you go.
All right. So down here, what we did, and it makes all the little icons smaller. So much for that. Okay. So scrolling down here, inside of this track, we have 21 different parameters that we cover with our patients. And on day 3 is when we present our financial to our patient. We call it the FROF, the formal report of findings, or the financial report of findings, not to be confused with the BROF, which is the brief report of findings, which you do on day 2. So the FROF is day 3. All of our members are familiar with these terms. But so essentially at first, there's a video that's an overview of what is the wellness score, why is it important, why should you care, why should you implement this process, which I think is such a key piece that is missing in practice. All the points that you covered are great ones, is that it takes all the things that you're measuring with a patient, just assuming that you're even measuring things with a patient, which that's step 1, measure stuff with patients, right? Step 2, present it to them and show them in a way that they can understand it. And what's really nice, and the way that I explain it to a patient is I say, look, Mr. Jones, in the last couple of visits, we measured a ton of stuff with you. This helps you see it all in one place. And as you progress through care, we're going to remeasure where you're at. And right now, as you can see, these 21 parameters give us a grading from 0 to 100 under each grading. Green is good, yellow is a little less good, and red needs quite a bit of improvement. It shows us where we need to focus and shows you where you and we need to focus. Then what we'll do is have a comparative score where this vertical column right here, you'll see right next to it, there's another vertical column. And in 12 weeks, we're going to sit down with you and see how did you do. And so this one right here that I just pulled up, this is a video. Yeah, this is a video. So this is a video. I don't think you can hear the audio on your end, which is okay. You don't need to. But I go through and I'm showing in this example, 12-week transformation engagement. And again, I'm not going to get through all the details of each different parameter. I'm just really trying to show you that there's 21 parameters. And it's still customizable for a MoveNow doctor to even add a parameter maybe specific to their clinic or take one out. This is how we do it. Right?
Yeah, let me just speak to this right now for a moment. And that is, the wellness score gives you the ability to create a custom list of things you want to measure. And what Todd is showing you right here, says parameter 1, is Todd went through the 21 parameters he does, and he does a video explaining what it is, how to use it, how to measure it. So it's really user friendly. So you don't have to come on board and wonder, what do I do next? Literally all the materials there to show you what to do. But again, the end benefit is it's showing patients how they're doing. Some of you are doing this right now. You're probably using your own thing where you're coming up with your own report. Some of you might be using scans like Surface EMG scans or things of that nature where it gives some kind of printout or report. Simply what the wellness score does, though, is it, as you just said, it takes everything you measured and puts it in one summary. I like to just compare it to a school report card. It's no different than when you went to school. You took math, English, science, history, all these classes, and you got a report card letting you know how you were doing with all of them.
I'm blocking my mic because literally for the first time ever, I can hear, and this is what happens, I think, when we leave. I never realized this. My dog is howling. Okay, I've never heard him. I'm not sure if you can hear that. They're like on the other side of the house. He's howling, and then our little puppy that we just got is like going crazy. And anyway, it's just kind of funny. So hopefully it's not picking up too much on the microphone, but you can probably hear it because I
did. I'm like, is that a dog in the background?
Yes. So this one right here, for example, everyone inside of MoveNow University who uses the system, the most obvious piece that everyone's using is you're doing movement assessments. Well, there is a MoveWell3 movement assessment parameter. It's parameter number 4 in our wellness score, and we grade them. So in this case, this person, it's a 46-point score. They got a score of 17. And in the background inside of the wellness score, that then equates to a grade. And it gives them a percentage from 0 to 100. It's 10% in this place. So makes it very easy visually to show them, look, your movement is one of the most concerning pieces in your overall health picture, right? Yep. And then the cool thing is this is also a score that they will quickly improve. And when they improve, we then show them that comparison and we show how that fits into the overall score. Something that you had said earlier when you and I spoke earlier this week in preparation for us chatting today, which is so key, is not only does it show them the improvement that they made and where they got to, but it also helps them understand the need for trying to achieve something higher in the future. Right. And so again, mirroring that, hey, look, Mr. Jones, this is not a 12-week process and then you're done and it's exactly where you'll want to be. You're starting at an F. You're at a 52%. In 12 weeks, typically what we've seen and goals that we set for our patients is a 10 to 15% improvement. So that means that you'll be at 67%. You'll be a high D. Okay, that's probably not a score you'd want to bring home to mom and dad, but it's better than an F. And it's you understanding that you're starting at a very compromised place, chunks of improvement, and that probably over the course of this next 12 weeks and then year and whatnot, you can get to that point at a higher level of health and then maintain that level.
Right. You know, here's the thing I'll share that you're kind of alluding to here and sharing is that at a report of findings, when you show someone a wellness score and they're a D or an F or something of that nature, they no longer ask, hey, what are you going to do to make my neck pain go away? What they say instead is, well, how do I get to be an A? So it literally changes the conversation from symptom to focusing on this objective measure. It's sort of like when it's why people use Fitbits, right? They're getting feedback on their Fitbit. It's why people, measure their progress when they're at the gym and they're seeing how much weight they're pushing or how much weight they've lost. Everybody measures to see that they're making progress. The question is, doctor, are you measuring? And I don't want to end this without saying the following. That is, there's 3 main purposes for the wellness score. Number 1 is, as we're describing right here, it's a tool to demonstrate the need for care. Again, at a report of findings saying someone's an F or a D, it clearly becomes obvious they need care. Purpose number 2 is to show the progress they're making. Hey, you went from an F to a D to a C plus to a B minus. Like, you're showing that over time to reinforce that the patient's making progress. And purpose number 3, quite frankly, is a really fun one, and that is it's a really cool marketing tool. If you want to get new patients through screenings or health workshops or corporate, wellness events, those types of things, it's a fantastic tool to be able to sit down with a person and measure 2 or 3 things or even 4 things and give them a quick preliminary wellness score and be able to say, hey, Todd, based upon this preliminary score of measuring 4 things, we've determined there's a need for you to come in for a further evaluation where we'll measure 21 things and we'll report back to you how you're doing on those things. It's a really cool marketing tool that way as well. But I just wanted to mention that because there's a lot to this. There's a lot you could accomplish with it, I can say, and there's something very powerful about showing people a wellness score. Anything really further you want to add?
The thing I was thinking of as you're saying that, do you remember a couple of years ago when I shared with you that patient of mine who actually was, he was a patient and then he got assaulted?
Yes.
He was assaulted, he was beat up, and he was interviewed on the news.
Right.
And on the news, they went to his house, they interviewed him, he had his wellness score, and then that reporter that interviewed him, they said, and he went in and he got an F. and they basically like showed a screenshot of the wellness score,
Right.
which was the perfect illustration of just how easy it is to summarize, so that immediately all the public watching this says, oh my gosh, this guy's overall health was an F. Like, they don't even know what that means exactly, other than I know an F is bad, and that's what was going on. And there's a lot of red stuff on this report. And so I thought that was a very telling example of how the public, and how from a marketing branding standpoint, how powerful this is.
It is, you know, and that's a great illustration. Talk about where it showed up on the news, and that's what the newscaster focused on. With all the stuff going on, that was the thing they pointed on, because it makes a good tagline too. Like, he got an F, you know, his wellness score was an F. You know, it's an easy thing to say. So in a marketing atmosphere, we've seen doctors do like pop-up displays, and the display will be, you know, what is your wellness score? And it, you know, it has some graphics on it. And people are like, well, what is a wellness score? And they come up and ask, you know, talk to them about it. The other thing I'll mention is that there's a lot of emotion associated with grades as well. When people see a report card with a grade on it, you know, it's one thing to say you got a 50 out of 100, and people are like, yeah, well, that's half good, you know, versus you got an F. Like, nobody, you know, we all grew up going to school and getting grades and stuff. So there is an emotion. You got some people who grew up getting straight A's, right, in their academic career, and suddenly they go to the doctor and they're getting a C minus, and like, holy crap, I don't get C minuses, I only get A's. So there's an emotions, a tie to the whole notion of doing a letter grade. The other thing I'll mention is that when we have a marketing, we all know everybody's favorite subject is themselves. That's just kind of a given, that somehow conversations turn around where people like to talk about themselves in many circumstances, not always, but many. And when you give people a report card, especially when it shows they went from a D to a C or a D to a B, guess what they do with it? They show it to their friends, they show it to their spouse. You know, we've had it happen where a patient comes in and says, I'm so happy I got to go home and show my husband, you know, I told you so. I knew I would get better going to the chiropractor, because the spouse at home maybe was giving them hell about going to see a doctor. You know, whatever it is, but it gave them the ammunition to validate their decision. It's a quote unquote objective tool that they can say, look, I went from a D to a B, and I'm doing really well. And there's really power in that. We've had people share them on Facebook. We've had people share them through their, you know, just texting them to their friends, putting a printout and copy on the refrigerator at home. Like, it just becomes their badge of honor to know they're making progress beyond just them saying, you know, with their own words. You know,
yep.
And so anyway, there's a lot to it. But like any tool, I will always go back to this. Like any tool, those of you watching now, it only works if you use it. Like the same thing with care plans or doing payment, auto debits, and all of the things that we talk about in this patient journey. It only works if you take action on it. And I always go back to that, because it's not uncommon every so often to hear someone say, yeah, well, it doesn't work for me, or I don't have the time to do it, or whatever. Listen, at the end of the day, you get out of it what you put into it. And Todd, I know you, for a fact, put a ton of energy into having a fantastic practice. And I also know you put a ton of energy into teaching other doctors how to have a fantastic practice. And I'm going to guess you're going to agree with me on this, maybe not, but I'm going to guess that you know the doctors who put the time, energy, and effort into it get the biggest rewards.
For sure.
That's ultimately,
no doubt.
You know, no doubt that's the case. So it's like anything, you put the energy into it, and you know, you rock with it. So I see you put a new message up there. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes, and so this is a little phrase I came up with a while back in my journey through chiropractic. Don't put all your clinical eggs in one basket, meaning I started off as a adjustment-only chiropractor, didn't have a whole lot of objective measures other than someone feeling better, even though that's really not what we stand for as chiropractors. It's not just symptom care, right. But that's all I had, because I wasn't doing comparative x-rays. I didn't have objective stuff. Then I got into curve correction, right? And then at that point, in my mind, I was so excited about curve correction. All my clinical eggs were put into the basket of, let's see what that follow-up x-ray looks like, right? And then if it doesn't look significantly better because this person is slower to respond, then that person's like, I just wasted all my time here. What the heck was I doing all this? So that's where I'm saying, don't put all your clinical eggs in one basket. And the wellness score helps you do this, because you have many parameters that you're measuring with someone. You have many clinical pieces that are measuring. Like for us in practice, we do pre and post x-ray because we do curve correction. We do functional movement. So we have pre and post movement assessment. We're looking at multiple things. We're looking at supplementation. And so people get points if they're taking what's called the 4 essentials, which is 4 essential supplements that every human being should be taking, which is omega, multi, probiotic, vitamin D3, K2, right? Obviously, right? And
morning.
right. And so having all those pieces, this is a phrase that we've talked about in the past. Don't put all your clinical eggs in one basket. The wellness score is the vehicle to show that to a patient and to organize it.
I'll use the analogy. I'll capitalize on it and say the wellness score is the basket. That is the basket itself. You're putting all your, your X-ray findings, your movement assessments, if you're doing lab work. We have a lot of doctors who do functional medicine. They'll put their lab findings in there. Like there's over 100 and some odd different pre-defined parameters in the wellness score that you could pick and choose. So we don't define for you what you're measuring, although Todd's done a really good job of putting together a great set of parameters, 21 parameters for the MoveNow program. However, if, like he said, if you want to add or take away, whatever you want to do, there's a whole variety of things you can measure. Again, some people like to take math, English, and science. Some people like to take history, physical ed. They take different classes, but yet you still have grades. You still have a report card, no matter what you put into that basket of classes, to use an analogy. So at the end of the day, you want to be able to, I would say this, whatever it is you do in your practice, you want to have a measurement that you could show progress for that goal. If the goal is restoring motion, if the goal is restoring nerve, function, whatever it is, and maybe it's all of the things, you want to make sure you're measuring all of those things. I could totally relate what you're saying about x-rays, because I did pre and post x-rays too. And if you're just focusing on just the x-ray of whether you got the improvement and you didn't get the amount of improvement, yeah, it's deflating to the patient. Even though they still be making progress, it becomes deflating versus being able to show them a report that says, well, that's one thing among the 15 or other things I measured, or the other 20 things I measured. And so anyway, I know we can go on and on about the subject matter here, but at the end of the day, this is the tool that helps doctors easily communicate progress. And again, I'm always me personally, I'm trying to solve problems we had in practice. And one of the major hurdles I saw in practice, and I'm sure you've seen it too, Todd, and that is the difficulty at progress exams when someone's already feeling better to communicate the further need of care. Like if they truly need more care, sometimes people have a challenge. We've all faced it where, oh, I'm feeling better, I don't need this anymore. Or people start losing motivation. This becomes the tool for you to use to be your aid in communicating that either they still need care or they've made progress or wherever they're at, but it becomes that teaching aid.
Yep, for sure. I would agree. Cool. All right. So then last thing before we get out of here, I know on my end, for my audience, those who are not members of MoveNow University, easy way to learn more and see the inside scoop and see a video demo, you go to demo.movenowu.com. I'll put that up in the comments. As far as cash practice, as far as someone who has no clue what cash practice is, what's the easiest way for them to see and get information on it?
That's a great question. So I mentioned before earlier when we were talking that on a scale of 0 to 10, how you rate how you're doing with your feedback. A 0 is you're giving no feedback. There's 4 areas I mentioned. There's care plans, there's all these different things. The best thing to do is the reason I'm bringing this up is we do what's called a retention recovery call, where you speak with one of our experts at our company and they'll go and talk to you and ask questions and help you identify where there might be challenges in your practice. And this might be one of the areas of your feedback you're giving patients. It may be one of them, it may be the only one. There may be other areas as well. Bottom line is we'll do a consultation with you. We normally could charge a tremendous amount of money actually for this consult because you'll walk away learning a lot, but we don't charge anything. You just talk with our person, our expert. And if it turns out you like what they have to say and are able to, you think there's a need for our services, they'll offer you the opportunity to get a live demo. So there's no sale or anything that happens when you talk to our person. It's just simply once they have the information shared with you about where your challenge might be, they'll offer you the opportunity to get a demo of our software. If you decide you want to get the demo, great. If you decide not to, that's fine too. And so just simply go to cashpractice.com. That's all you got to do is go to cashpractice.com. And at the top, you'll see a button that says book a call. Just click that and schedule a convenient time for yourself. We'll know that you came from this particular Facebook Live, and that way we can custom tailor the conversation along with that. But nonetheless, just book that call, and we'll be happy to answer your questions, help determine where the challenges are in the practice in those areas. And once we do that, like I said, we'll be totally transparent with you. We'll offer you the opportunity to get a demo of the software, if you want to do that, great. If you don't, that's your prerogative, and then we'll take it from there.
Cool. Awesome. I put those notes in the comment section as well. So I wrote our demo link, and then I also wrote Cash Practice. There's a retention recovery call. They do a consultation with you, no charge, cashpractice.com, book a call. You got all the information there. Dr. Miles Bodzin from Cash Practice, thank you for taking the time to jump on for our group.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for
and I mean, even though we plan on going 15 minutes, we're at 30.
Yeah.
So
we're both talkers. That's talkers.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to end this. Everyone, over and out.